Yeah, what's going on, everyone? This is going to be the updated loadout video I promised to make a few weeks ago. I've finally got around to making it, so here it is. I know in the last video it was really basic and it was more aimed towards like newer players like that play the game, but a lot of people commented on that video and wanted to know like actual loadouts they could use if they were max level. So I've put some together and these are ones I actually use. So yeah, as you can see on these loadouts, I've got them all labeled up nicely. And so usually if I was playing a pub or something, I'd start off with say this one. So because I'm a HS player, I'm a short range player naturally. I don't often play range unless I have to. I'd use this loadout to begin with. I did think about changing it a little bit, because with Stealth 3 it does take 6 loadout points, which is quite a lot when you think about it, because you've only got 20 left to spend, but I think it's worth it in my opinion if you're going to be playing against decent players who are going to be spamming staffs, which are UAVs. So obviously you won't show up on the radar with Stealth 3. You've got Hardened 2, so you're going to be good in gunfights, and Weapon Expert 2 gives you that little bit of advantage as well when you're in gunfights with people, and perhaps taking ones that you're not expecting to take. Yeah, as for the attachments on it, I mean, with the HS, there's not a great deal of good attachments for it really. I would just ignore silencer, blind fire accuracy, reload speed, and starting ammo. I mean, they're not really that good of attachments to use on it. I think the best attachments to use are probably strafe speed and recoil, but when you're in a gunfight with a good player, you're going to find they're going to strafe a lot, so having that aim strafe speed allows you to keep up with them and sort of tailor your aim towards the gunfight a little bit, rather than just recoil, which I suppose it is good as a weapon mod, but it's not as good as aim strafe speed in my opinion, and that's just been the meta in this game to use on the HS for about 4 years now, so why change it if it's not broken? The only thing really with this loadout that I'm not happy with is the pistol. Obviously if it was an ideal situation I could probably use an Aegis, but it's not because I've run out of loadout points, so I'm forced to use a para. The other pistols, they are good. Maybe perhaps a Krivosk, that might be a better option to use on this class if you're playing pubs, because obviously you've got that, it's basically like a pocket metler, the Krivosk, so that would probably be a better loadout to use. Yeah. Moving on, I've got them all labelled up here with the different costs of each mystical. I just thought that would be helpful for everybody, because like if you're in an intense game and all you have to do is just look at how much cash you've got and then relate it back to your loadouts, so you don't have to worry about trying to spawn a class in and then work out if you've got enough to buy it or not. So if you know how much you've got underneath the radar, it tells you it should say a set amount, and then you relate that back to the loadout, and then if you can afford whichever, then pick whichever one suits best. UAV, fairly self-explanatory really. I mean, it's fairly cheap to have in your loadout. It's only 2 loadout points to have and $400 first purchase. I mean, it's really not that bad. And a lot of people nowadays don't use Stealth 3 as well, so you'll probably find that's quite a useful mystical to use. Injures, Eternity, this one $475 with the area of effect increase that I've put on it. Another good mystical, probably if not one of the best mysticals to use in the game. Probably ideal for using in King of the Hill rather than well, it's good in TDM as well, but King of the Hill you can throw it at sort of choke points on the map and areas where people funnel out of, like doorways and hill entrances and etc etc. Dorado, basically you'd only want to use this for dispersing large groups of people. Like if you're trying to retake a position on the map, then you throw Dorado, it disperses the other team a little bit, gives you a chance to sort of break a setup, so it's good for that. Asgard, pretty much just like having a lot of extra health for a set amount of time. Take 75% less damage, heals to full health when activated, move 50% slower, sorry, but ramp up to full speed if running continuously. Really good mystical to use, although you'll find when you play tryhards with this mystical, they're just going to team shoot you, so just try and get as much damage done as quickly as possible rather than dragging it out. And just remember that you're not invincible when you have this mystical activated. You can die, but it'll take a lot more for you to die than it normally would if you didn't activate it. So yeah, I think there's not really a lot to say about these classes. I mean, apart from probably you'll notice that on all these classes I have revive packs on them. Just to emphasize again, revive packs and grenades probably the best two pieces of equipment in the game. If you're trying to be a team player and you're trying to get the match won, then definitely use revive packs. Don't use grenades. If you're new to the game, I would suggest, if you think you have a good player on your team, picking them up would be a good idea. So definitely run revive packs. I mean, me personally, just because I've played the game for a long time doesn't mean I always play with grenades. In fact, like if you look at most of the matches I played in ranked that were close, I always had revive packs on. So definitely use those. I do always have a grenade loadout there just in case I ever need it. More used like these days for like scrims and stuff. So yeah, that doesn't really get used a lot, or unless I'm just comfortably winning a match and then I just throw grenades on just to get some extra downs. So that really covers like the short range loadouts. Moving on to long range. I really only have two loadouts that I use for long range, and I'll explain this in a minute. But this is the foul class I would use if I was going to pick long range in a ranked match or a King of the Hill match. And yeah, so strafe speed again on the foul. A lot of people like to think recoil is a good thing to use, but in all honesty, the foul doesn't have that much recoil anyway, and it's not particularly hard to control. So I think just use aim strafe speed. Definitely with a foul, you can definitely feel it when you've got strafe speed on and you have a quick strafe. So definitely worth using, dodging bullets, etc, etc. Aegis, hands down, probably one of the best pistols in the game, especially with clip size on it. But this is like a must-have attachment on the Aegis. Really, it is a good pistol without it, but having that extra few bullets in the clip allows you to maybe miss a few shots and still get the down, rather than if you took clip size off, you literally have to hit more or less every bullet. So having that clip size on gives you peace of mind knowing that even if you miss a few bullets, you could still down someone. So that's that. Really good for blind firing as well. Forgot to add. Revive packs again. Just for picking teammates up. At least if you're going to be playing long range and getting downs, at least pick your teammates up who are in the front line in the trenches, like sort of taking on gunfights and getting in the hill, etc. Because you're not typically going to be really close range with the foul if you're playing it correctly. Harden just to keep up with those long range gunfights. Again, just a must-have booster really on most of your loadouts. I wouldn't really put a loadout together without Hardened and Weapon Expert on it. Just two really essential boosters. And this one really, I mean, it's up to you if you want, but Mark on Damage 3 I've found personally has probably been one of the best boosters to use on a foul class, especially in ranked. You'll find that a lot of people in ranked like to search solo, and so you'll be teaming up with people who perhaps don't have mics and probably don't speak the same language as you. So if you just highlight someone in bright red, there's no mistaking of call outs, there's no communication errors, it's very clear cut. Like there's somebody in front of you I've marked in red. You don't even have to mark them. That as soon as you shoot someone and the bullet connects with them, it'll highlight them in bright red. So I mean, you don't even have to call out. If you want to be lazy, then this is the perfect booster for you. Just put Mark on Damage on, and then you don't even have to call out then. I mean, at worst, it doesn't work on people who have stealth on, but it's still a really good booster to use because, as I say, the majority of people don't use stealth too because it takes so many loadout points, and they'd rather use things like combat marking. I personally don't think combat marking is necessary because it's usually quite easy to rule out what people are going to do. But if you did want to make a class with combat marking, which is another really good booster that I said to level up, it would perhaps look something a little bit like this. So strafe speed on a HS or FAL both cost the same amount of loadout points, whichever you are, long range, short range, take your pick. Aegis, just, yeah, essential. Revive pack. Then stealth 2, so you're not getting marked off people that are using marking boosters, and so you can't be seen in the fly-in when people spawn in. Hardened, essential, you know, damage wobble. And then so combat marking is here, so you can't put, unless you want to play without weapon expert, which I wouldn't advise. Combat marking 2 would probably be best for you. I mean, it's more than sufficient to have combat marking 2 on. Combat marking 3 is a bit of a luxury. Well, I say a bit, it's a lot of a luxury. So you don't really need to use that. But if you want to, then I suppose go ahead. But you're going to have to sacrifice something off the loadout. And then I'd put weapon expert 1 on. So yeah, that would be my ideal combat marking loadout. If you did want to use that, I suppose I can see for new players that it would be quite helpful to have combat marking on, so you sort of learn the behaviours of other teams and stuff like that. But because I've played the game so much now, I sort of know what people are going to do. But I suppose I can see the argument for keeping it on for newer players. So if you want to use combat marking, use that. That would be my loadout of choice if I was to use combat marking. Where were we? So we were on the FAL loadout. Yeah, I think I pretty much explained the FAL loadout. I mean, there's not really a great deal of thought process behind it. It's just sort of common sense. Strafe speed, just to avoid bullets in gunfights. Aegis clip cap, just to give you that extra peace of mind, knowing that if I miss a few bullets, I can still kill someone. Revive packs to support my team. Also, I'd like to add, this loadout is very good at generating cash. So what I usually do is play with this loadout for 3/4 of the match, and for the last quarter of the match, I'll probably switch to mysticals. Well, I say probably, I'll definitely switch to mysticals. The reason you don't see any FAL mystical classes is because, in my opinion, I think they're useless. Because if you're going to be using, say, an Indra with a FAL, then yeah, you can throw it from a long way away and still play your position. But I think personally, the way I play, I'd rather be in the mix with all the mysticals happening at the same time, if that makes any sense. So like, I'd rather have a short range gun and play aggressive with a mystical. So I don't think you can play as aggressive with a FAL as you can with a HS. So I'd rather play that role when you're using a mystical rather than play the long range role. So I hope that clears any confusion up. So yeah, this loadout, definitely a good one for generating cash. You've obviously got mark on damage, you get money for every mark that you do, and then you obviously get a shitload of cash for revive packs, because you're literally getting a $50 revive, I think it is, for every revive that you pull off with a pack. And you get a revive pack bonus as well, I believe, and you get a revive assist if you pack someone that's already getting revived. So either way, when you throw a pack at someone and they're down, you're going to get money from it, and it recharges, unlike Chintamani stones. So I would stay away from things that don't recharge in this game, until obviously you've got so much money to the point where it doesn't really matter, because you are going to have to spend your money at some point in the game, unless you want to lose. So yeah, I've only got one class with a FAL that has a purchasable on it, and that's an ARX, and that's just sort of a backup, just in case anybody likes to push me. I'm playing against particularly aggressive players. I'll throw an ARX loadout on with the FAL, just to sort of deal with those players who like to get up close and personal. Because obviously with a FAL and an Aegis, there's only so much you can do versus a good HS player, so having that ARX sort of allows you to deal with them swiftly and then move on to the long range gunfights. Yeah, I think if you have any questions, leave them in the comments, but I've tried to clear it up as much as I can. The only thing I will say is that a lot of new players to the game, I've noticed when I've been on my team, they've obviously accumulated a lot of money throughout the match and they don't spend it. So if you're worried that you don't have any of the mysticals that I've demonstrated in this video, you've always got the preset loadouts that you can switch to and use the mysticals shown there. You've obviously got access to every DLC thing in the game throughout these loadouts, so definitely use these if you don't have them unlocked already. And good luck with your games, and I'll see you in the next one.